Hey everyone, welcome back to another review. Today we'll be taking a look at the new 2019 Papo Gorgosaurus. The Pentaceratops and Gorgosaurus are the last two figures to be released in their 2019 lineup. The 2019 lineup really wasn't that big. We only got 5 figures, and 3 of them were repaints. The Gorgosaurus and Pentaceratops are the only 2 new figures we got, so I'm a little bit disappointed with Papo's lineup this year. I know we're still getting the Spinosaurus. That's a totally separate thing. It's a limited edition. It's not part of the main line. It wasn't even featured in this year's catalog. I just kind of wish that maybe they just got rid of one of those repaints and just gave us another new model in the main line. Even though I'm disappointed with the variety of models we got from Papo this year, their Pentaceratops and this fabulous looking Gorgosaurus were really worth the wait. I feel like Pap always releases the last of their figures towards the end of the summer, and then we're just waiting around for a couple of months for them to show off next year's figures. It just feels like we're always waiting forever for their figures to come out because they do a staggered release. Usually, they release a couple months after they first show off the figures, then a couple more, and then the last few figures in their set are usually available at the end of the summer. But I have to say, these 2 figures are definitely worth the wait. I was actually pleasantly surprised that Papo decided to give us a Gorgosaurus. It's a dinosaur species we really don't see too often in figure form, so I was really happy that they gave us a not too popular carnivore figure in this year's lineup, and it truly is a fantastic looking piece. Gorgosaurus is related to Albertosaurus. Actually, some paleontologists even consider Gorgosaurus a species of Albertosaurus. Gorgosaurus is from the late Cretaceous period of North America, lived between 75 and 76 million years ago, and is one of the most well-known Tyrannosaurus. There's been dozens of fossils from all different stages of life of this animal found, which makes it one of the best-known Tyrannosaurus in the fossil record. So moving on to the figure itself, a lot of people, myself included, are a little bit disappointed in the size of this figure. It is on the small size. I kind of do wish it was just a little bit bigger, but it is packed with a ton of detail in such a small package. So let's take a couple of quick size measurements. This figure is from the tip of the snout to the tip of the tail, about 7.25 inches long, or 184 millimeters, and just under 3 inches tall to the top of that head crest. So with those measurements, Gorgosaurus was about 26 to 30 feet long. That would put this model somewhere in the 143 to the 149 scale range, depending on which size measurement you want to go with. But despite this figure's small size, it does have a ton of detail. This is a very well sculpted, well detailed figure. Let's start with that beautiful head sculpt. Tons of detail in there. You see a lot of scale sculpted along the side of the skull right here. And the head is based on the Gorgosaurus from the Walking with Dinosaur movie that came out a few years ago. I don't know if any of you see that movie. It was an absolute train wreck. They just decided to shoehorn voices onto the dinosaurs for whatever reason. I think it just really ruined the movie. But whatever. I guess I'm just still bitter about that. A nice set of crest in front of each eye. The eye is painted yellow with a black pupil, and the whole figure is just mostly different shades of brown. A lot of earth tones in there with some black striping. It gives it a very natural looking color scheme. It looks really good on this figure. I really like this natural color scheme. I do like bright colors on my dinosaurs, but I think it just works with this Gorgosaurus sculpt. So let's zoom in on that gorgeous head sculpt right here. You can see the head is a little bit shrink wrapped. You can see the antorbital fenestra is showing in the orbit. But the cool part about the shrink wrapping is on Gorgosaurus, the orbit on this dinosaur is circular in shape. On other Tyrannosaurids, the orbit was more oval shaped or keyhole shaped. So this shrink wrapping actually kind of shows off, what the actual orbit on a Gorgosaurus skull would look like. So I think that is a pretty cool touch. You can see just tons of scale detail sculpted on the mouth, and the jaw is articulated. Papo is absolutely excellent with their jaw articulation. Just always works really well. The mouths always fit flush together. Just the articulation blends in really well with the sculpt of the figure. Unlike Collectate, I do love Collectate models, but I just think they are not that good doing jaw articulation. They could definitely learn a lesson from Papo. And inside that mouth, you got a lot of nice sculpted detail. And you steady my shaky hands, you can see the top of the mouth is beautifully detailed. The gums, there's a nice wash in here to give that mouth that wet look. It brings out all that nice detail along the gums right there. Just such a nice looking head sculpt on this Gorgosaurus. Absolutely love it. Now, the one thing that just bugs me a little bit on this figure, maybe it just might be mine, I don't know if anyone else's is like this, where the head attached, it's obviously a separate piece from the body. There's just a lot of shiny glue right there along the seam, and when the light reflects off it, because most of this figure is just done in a matte finish, just that reflective part right there really just kind of distracts from the figure. It might just be my figure. I don't know if anyone else is like this. If it is, just let me know in the comments. I'm just curious to know. So moving on with the rest of the body right here, you can see a lot of nice sculpted detail along the body and legs, a lot of folds and wrinkles. You even got a couple rows of osteoderms that start along the back of the neck. There's even a row going down the back of the neck all the way down to the tip of the tail, and another row on each side that goes from the neck over the hips and continues almost all the way down to the tip of the tail. And you can see the wrist aren't pronated. And another fact about Gorgosaurus, it was actually the first Tyrannosaurid to be found with a complete hand, because up until that point, Tyrannosaurus Rex was being reconstructed with a three-fingered hand. So this shed a lot of light on what other Tyrannosaurids looked like at that time when it was discovered. And those arms are nice and puny, as they should be. They look really, really nice in this model. You got some nice big folds right here along the side of the stomach. The legs are nice and muscular, very powerful looking. And when you view this figure from the back, the legs are kind of splayed. I think it's meant to help. Let me focus in on that. With the stability of this figure does stand very well on two legs, but some people have pointed out that it looks like this figure is about to pop a squat. I don't know, maybe there was some kind of late Cretaceous Taco Bell at that time, but whatever. It's not too distracting for me. It is definitely a little bit awkward looking, but I kind of stand why they did it, just to help with the stability. Maybe they just couldn't get it balanced right with the legs pressed closer to the body, but whatever. It is what it is. And look at the rest of the body. You can see all that black striping done from the back of the neck, goes onto the legs right here, and all the way down to the tip of the tail. And flipping the figure over, you can see a lot of scale detail sculpted in to the bottom of the figure. It's mostly done in a white color. There's a little bit of a pink wash along the sides and underneath, starting underneath the base of the tail going down. And it just looks really, really nice. This is just a lot of detail in a small package for this figure. I really, really love this Gorgosaurus. Even they gave it excellent binocular vision. When you look at this model head on, it just looks like it's staring right at you. Fantastic touch. Absolutely love the look of this figure. Even the feet are beautifully, beautifully sculpted. They actually have this dirty look. They kind of have this black coloration that slowly fades into the brown as you get further up the leg. A lot of nice scale detail in there. The claws look nice and sharp. This one is molded just a little bit crooked on mine. Maybe it was just this one figure, but whatever. It's just a great, great looking Gorgosaurus. So let's put this guy down and we'll pull out some other figures from Papo and see how this guy stacks up size-wise with them. Alright, first up from comparison is the Pentaceratops, which got released alongside it. And you can see this Pentaceratops absolutely dwarfs this Gorgosaurus. I mean, you could treat this figure as maybe a juvenile Gorgosaurus that has a death wish as it tries to challenge this Pentaceratops. And here's another one of the 2019 figures, the repainted Allosaurus. And you know, if these figures were in scale to each other, this Gorgosaurus figure would be about almost the same size as this Allosaurus figure. And here it is with some of the smaller Papo carnivores. Here it is with their Velociraptor. These two figures are about the same length, but as you can see, the Velociraptor towers over the Gorgosaurus. And here it is with the Dilophosaurus. And these two figures are roughly about the same size. And here it is with the Cryolophosaurus, and same thing, these figures are about the same length, but with the pose of the Cryolophosaurus, it is taller than the Gorgosaurus. And here it is with the Ceratosaurus, which is definitely one of the better carnivore figures from Papo. And you can see the Gorgosaurus is just a little bit smaller than the Ceratosaurus. And here it is with some of the larger carnivores from Papo. Here it is with the amazing Acrocanthosaurus repaint, which is my favorite Papo release of all time. And here it is with the thing Papo likes to call a Baryonyx. What a weird figure. God, I don't even really know what to say about it. I like it and hate it at the same time. But whatever. And last but not least, the original green stand-in T-Rex. You can see the T-Rex towers over this Gorgosaurus. T-Rex was bigger than Gorgosaurus, but definitely not this much bigger. So final thoughts on this Gorgosaurus figure. I absolutely love this figure. My biggest complaint about it is the size of the figure. I do wish it was bigger. But other than that, it has a ton of detail. The paint apps are great on it. I love the coloration. I do like that really natural looking color tone that they gave this figure. The articulation is great. The mouth detail is great. It's an accurate looking Gorgosaurus figure. And on top of that, it's a species of dinosaurs that we barely see in figure form. So I think it's a win-win. Definitely highly recommend you pick this figure up. I ordered this figure along with the Pentaceratops from Everything Dinosaur. I always order all my Papo, Collecte, and Reborn figures from them. I like supporting them. This figure comes out to just over $16 getting it from them. That's not included shipping. So I will leave a link in the description to Everything Dinosaur if you want to order this great looking Gorgosaurus. So that will do it for the review. If you picked up these figures and have them in hand already, let me know in the comments what you think about them. And also what you thought about, Papo's 2019 lineup. Were you happy with it? Were you a little bit disappointed by the lack of variety we got with those, where the 5 figures were released, more than half of them were repaints? Just let me know what you think about that. And as always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. The channel is growing great. I appreciate everyone that is subscribing. I love doing this. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously, and I will greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys for the next one.